Hey everyone, this video is designed to show you how to build a works cited page and also how to make in-text citations using MLA format, specifically in Google Docs and using their citation tool. So I want to start first with a basic understanding of what a works cited page intends to do and what your in-text citations are built to do. And I'm going to start by using this example of a research paper in MLA format from the Purdue OWL. And it's got all sorts of little annotations on that, but you can ignore that for now. What I really want you to see is that there's two things here. Down at the bottom of this essay, you'll see the beginning of a new page labeled Works Cited. Anytime you're doing a research assignment or a paper where you're citing outside sources, you need a Works Cited page like this. And in that Works Cited page, all you have are all of the sources that you refer to that inform your research throughout the paper. This is designed so that other researchers, if they wanted to, could recreate your work and go back and find the research that you have done. Up here in the body of the paper, you will see in-text citations that refer to outside sources where the information is coming from. So, for example, this sentence says, before 1820 and prior to the new knowledge farmers were creating, farmers who wanted print information about agriculture had their choice of agricultural almanacs and even local newspapers to receive information. Dan Hoff 54. This little parenthetical right here with the name Dan Hoff and the page number 54 is an example of an in-text citation. What it's meant to do is make it so that if I'm the reader, I can go down to the Works Cited page and I can find the citation. There it is. This book by Clarence H. Danhoff titled Change in Agriculture, the Northern United States from 1820 to 1870 from Harvard. And I can go and find that text. That's the whole point of the in-text citation. So let's talk about how to build these. There's a set of rules following MLA format for how to do your in-text citation and your works cited page. We can find all of those tools over here on the MLA's website. And I'll put a link to this in my little cheat sheet. It has the basic citation rules. And we're not going to go through them all in this video because I'm going to show you how to use a tool that will do most of this work for you. I will, however, link this video and the MLA's website on my cheat sheet here that you will have access to in class for our materials that gives you something to check your work against to make sure you're doing everything correctly. Okay, so let's look at the basics here. I have here a Google Doc that is like a sample research paper. I've got my header here in MLA. I've got my excellent research paper title. And I've got some example sources up here that I'm going to show you how to cite. So my first sentence here says, Langston Hughes is regarded as one of the first Black poets to be accepted by the elite white literary community. Okay, well, let's suppose I'm doing a research project on Langston Hughes. That didn't come from my brain. I read that somewhere. So I have to cite my source. Over here is the article where I learned that. It is this article by David C. Ward from the Smithsonian Magazine, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over to my document, and I'm going to go up here to Tools, and then Citations. And Google Docs has this incredible tool that is going to cite things for me. Now, we're doing APA format, so we'll make sure that one's selected, and then we'll click Add Citation Source. It's going to ask me what type my source is. For the purpose of our class, we're primarily going to use online sources, so I'm going to choose website. Then it's going to ask me for the key information I need to build this citation, and I've got to go through the website and I've got to plug it in. So the first thing is the author's name. I can go to my website and see the author's name is David C. Ward. The publication date is May 22nd, 2017, and I can plug that info in. If you do not have that information in your source, like say there's not an author or there's not a publication date, you just leave it blank. That's okay. If it's written by a corporation or an organization like the Poetry Foundation or History.com, you would check this box and you would fill that information in. Then I've got to put my title in. Okay, my title is Why Langston Hughes Still Reigns as the Poet of the Champion. So I can literally just copy and paste that in. For my website title, I'm literally going to look up here at the top bar of the website or up here in the URL. Mine is the Smithsonian Magazine. You don't have to put in the URL or anything like that. This is literally Smithsonian Magazine, and I'll just type that right in. It's going to ask you for the publisher. There's some tricks to finding the publisher, but generally what you want to do is scroll down to the bottom of the web page, and here by the copyright thing, it will tell you the publisher. In this case, it is the same as the name of the magazine. It is the Smithsonian Magazine. You see it says copyright 2021 Smithsonian Magazine. So I can put that in. Sometimes you'll have different publishers than the name of the source, and that's okay. For example, history.com is published by A&E Television Networks. So you just got to make sure that you have an accurate publisher and that it's not always the same as the title of the website. Next, it's going to ask us for the URL. Pretty straightforward. I can put that right in there. And it's going to ask me for when this was published. Now, I already looked earlier, but let's double check. May 22nd, 2017. So I can put in the day, 22nd, the month, May, and the date, 2017. Oops. And then it's going to ask the day you accessed it. That's literally the day you found the source, which for me today is the 10th of November, and it's 2021. Okay, it's going to ask you for a short title. Now, the short title is often what will appear in the parenthetical citation. I'm going to leave it blank for now, and no, just kidding. I won't leave it blank. Let's give it a short title. The title of the article is really long, so I'm just going to call it Why Langston. You can often just use the first couple words of the title or an abbreviation for its short title. The point is that your audience can tell from the short title which of the sources in your Works Cited page you're referring to. Okay, so then I'm going to put in the I'm going to go ahead and click to add it there. So here it is. Now I've got it. What we can do now is I'm going to go back over here to my sentence. Langston Hughes is regarded as one of the first Black poets to be accepted by the elite white literary community. Now I've got to insert my citation in here. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click Cite. See how the little hover text says Insert in-text citation? It's going to do it for me. And you'll see what it did is it took the author's last name and it made that my in-text citation. And this will work because when I go down to the Works Cited page later, Ward, the last name of the author, that will be the first piece of information in my Works Cited page. That's the first piece right there. If I didn't have an author's name, the first piece of information would be the title. And it would put the title there in the parentheses instead of Ward's last name. And that's cool. The rule of thumb is that the parenthetical citation should refer to the first piece of information in your Works Cited page. And since this is what will go on my Works Cited page, I'm golden. It has done it for me, right? So now let's say that I go on here and I have some more information and I need to cite some more sources. I've got the Poetry Foundation page up over here for Langston Hughes, and I can pull some information in this, and I can say that, I don't know, much of Hughes' early work was criticized for portraying an unattractive view of Black life. So let's say that I want to, somewhere in my paper, I want to quote that, right? I might say, according to the Poetry Foundation, and then I'll go ahead and stick my quote in there, right? But now I've got to make sure that I cite it again, since this is coming from somewhere else. So I would go through the same process. And the Poetry Foundation is going to be a quicker one to cite because it doesn't have a publication date. It doesn't have an author. It's written by an organization. I mean, you can see on here, right, it's got a publisher, but not a lot of rest of the information. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new citation source. It'll be a website again, but there's no author. This time it's an organization. So I can check the organization box and I can hit the Poetry Foundation for my organization. I've got no contributors, none of that. I have a title. The title of this page, I believe, is literally just Langston Hughes. So that's what I'll type in, Langston Hughes. Website title is the Poetry Foundation. Say right away, the publisher is also the Poetry Foundation. It's the same. I'll paste my URL in there. There's no publication date or any of that. I got my access date again here, so I can go 11/10/2021. Short title, I'll call it Langston Hughes, and I'll add my second citation source. So now it's going to add it to my list, right? Here was my first one, this one by David Warden from Smithsonian Magazine. And now here's my Poetry Foundation one. So at the end of this quote, I've got to make sure I cite my new source here. I will just click Cite, and it will do it for me. This time, check it out. The first piece of information in my citation is the Poetry Foundation, so that's what goes in my parenthetical. We see how this works? Okay, so we go through our whole project. We cite all of our sources. We do our in-text citations like this, and then we get to the end. We're done. Now we've got to build our Works Cited page. The way we do that is we build a brand new page. So I'm going to go to Insert, Break, and Page Break, and I'm going to put my cursor here in the middle of the page, and I'm going to call it works cited. That's how I do an MLA. We have our works cited page. Then let's pretend I'm all done. All right, I've got 5, 6, 7, 10 more sources over here. I'm going to go ahead and click Insert Works Cited. And look at that magic. Well, it even does this title for me. It builds my works cited page for me. It puts in the full-fledged works cited page. Here's each source with all of its publication date that's available. And they're already in alphabetical order, right? It starts with T and then W. So it's even going to order them for me. Now, at the end of the day, you're responsible for making sure that all the stuff in these citations is correct. So you really ought to open up the Purdue OWL page with the basics for what goes into a works cited page and make sure that you've got all the stuff in here that you're supposed to have. If you're in my class, of course, you can also use this cheat sheet where I have there it is. This page right here tells you which objects belong in the works cited page in the order that they go in, and then it even has some examples. Because every now and then the automatic citation builders make mistakes. Okay, so then at the end of the day, I have in-text citations here and parentheticals at the end of any outside information, and my audience can go down here to my works cited page and they can figure out where each one of my sources came from, and if they want to, they can recreate that research on their own. So anytime you're doing a research paper or a research project and you're asked to create a works cited page and in-text citations according to MLA format, this is how it should function. Hope this was useful. If you're using sources that are not websites, the rules are really quite similar. When you add your citation source, you would just choose book or journal article. There's even instructions on how to do film, YouTube videos, comic books, newspapers, that sort of stuff. If you're ever needing to do that, it's available on my cheat sheet and the Purdue OWL. And there's also options for that in the Google Docs Citation Builder. Great. Have a great day.